G2 get the first one, but Reckless and Interstate get in the back door. Oh my God! There's no flipping way!
Death, taxes, G2 versus Fnatic. Some things are just inevitable, aren't they? Hey folks, Initialize here, distilling this major showdown in the LEC for you. Let's dive into it. The two great European rivals battled it out in a fearless best of 3 to qualify for the upper bracket finals. And for once, G2 were not the favourites. You heard that right. Fnatic were coming into this series as the favourites, having not lost a game since week 1, day 1 of the LEC. It was 10 games undefeated in a row, if you include their first playoff series. The new additions of Upset and mikyx to the bot lane had supercharged this roster.
He wants to dive this, the damage is upsetting. That's
Upset in particular having swiftly shaken his reputation for conservative KDA play that led to significant amount of community criticism over the last couple of years. Instead, Upset has been on a mission to shut the haters up.
Support. I mean, I think it's all about foundationalizing, like Spectra said. If they foundationalize well, they can probably get a huge advantage in the foundation department. But if they do it poorly, it's probably going to be really hard for them to snowball the game.
The split he's put up the kind of numbers that earned him a place among the EU greats of ADC in the first place. mikyx, on the other hand, joined Fnatic from G2 to the elation of Fnatic fans and the eyebrow raisers of G2's faithful. Sure, it was another frustrating world run for G2.
Hatama about to fall, Mickey taken out as well. BLG knocking down the last of the LEC as they move on to the bracket stage.
Clearly the organisation had made the call that they'd reached the ceiling with the roster as was, but letting go of Mickey, arguably the greatest support to have ever come out of EU?
You were always my favorite player.
It was going to be a bold call. Fnatic, well, they were only too happy to pick him up, and Mickey delivered, forming a potent duo indeed with longtime star jungler Razork. That leaves G2, of course. They made some big shifts this year, switching up the aforementioned mikyx, and also jungler Yike for former BDS support Labrov and ERL star jungler Skewmont.
How would you describe this version of G2?
Absolument parfait.
Fearless.
Boah, fucking insane.
A coach's dream.
What do I think about the 2025 roster? They are the reason I'm sitting here today.
It started, let's not beat around the bush, awkwardly. A 1-2 opening week with obvious disconnects between jungle support and the rest of the team had fans in the community grumbling, especially when Yike and mikyx were having exceptional showings on their new teams. Had G2 come out from the breakup on the worst end of the deal?
Well, next question, I have one. Actually, who do you think won the divorce? Who's better off without the other?
I think that will be me.
I guess we'll see after today, but so far from the regular season record, I would have to say that one team won a bit more games than the other.
Of course, you will have to cling on that. That's the only thing you will be able to cling on at the end of the split.
For once, it looked like it wasn't a shoo-in for G2 to be the team to beat in the LEC. Fortunately for G2, their fortunes swiftly began to change. By the time playoffs came around, G2 had swiftly recovered to a solid 6-3 scoreline, the team looking significantly more cohesive, and Skewmont and Labrov no longer looking quite so out of place.
And Skewmont, he's looking for something else in the brush as he finds a trade kill onto Noah now. The Poke Virus needs his cooldowns available. Skewmont jumps in, gets the cleanse, an auto, the Eagle, no way! And the Marshall!
Suddenly G2 looked dangerous again, but dangerous enough to push for another title? That remained to be seen. With both Fnatic and G2 cleaning up their first round opponents in playoffs 2-0, it set the stage for another entry into this most heated of showdowns in the LEC. A reminder, Fnatic came in favoured not just to win this series, but to win the whole LEC. Finally, it was their year. G2 could not stop them again. Surely. Unfortunately, Fnatic came away like all those Hextech chests we've all been getting. Namely, with nothing. Game 1 was a tight affair. Very tight. On one side, early plays from mikyx set Humanoid on newly enabled Mel to be a truly terrifying carry threat for Fnatic, critically at the expense of G2's talismanic ace mid Caps on the Aurora. On the other side, Skewmont put in a monster showing on Pantheon, serving up a blistering 12-kill performance.
You look at the solar flare, you look at the steal, and now there's a choice. Cap runs in, and G2 have no more fear. I thought it was doomed to thought Skimon had absolutely nothing, but he took absolutely...
Backed up by an incredibly heads-up top lane counterpick of Swain for Broken Blade. Ryalize plus Fimbulwinter on the Noxian Mastermind made life hell for the predominantly short-range Fnatic in teamfights, even if Fnatic managed to circumvent him by punting him out of fight with Poppyar and strong engages to kick off those key carries in the mid-game. Still wasn't enough though, as the stalemate of a game was broken apart by an absolutely scintillating Ezreal teamfight to secure a Game 1 victory from G2.
Before he can do anything about it, LeBron gets denied by Mickey. As you can see, Han Summer is firing and firing and firing away. Razork has to get on him, get in the way, but this Ezreal is unleashed. And you might say, yes, hysteric, but Fnatic a winning fight. But watch Han Summer, Ian again, auto attack, Q, Mystic shot, Hans, it's your mama. Fnatic are running down, Upset's got no health left, Caps might miss.
Hans is your mama indeed, thank you Hysterics.
The play was fun, it was scrappy, but G2 take game 1 in his best of 3.
Game 2 was a very different draft strategy from G2, mainly because they let through the nearly permanently banned Skarner, a champion that even nerfed as he is on playoffs patch is still considered almost obscenely powerful. Fnatic, quite understandably, snatched the champion up in short order on blue side, rounded out with an Ambessa and Ahri Arel to set up for upset on a reset Jinx pick for ADC. Fnatic had themselves a seriously nasty looking pick comp. Idea is, you get someone locked down, the Ambessa, the Ahri dive in, Jinx gets excited, you get the concept guys. What did G2 have in trade with a Skarner for this pick comp? Well, they had Warwick top. It's a champion straight out of solo queue, and one that BB has been allegedly prepping since 2022 according to some recent interviews. You get barrier to facilitate the low HP trades, a huge amount of innate lifesteal, and a distinct lack of range or CC to lock the Warwick down, and you can see why that Ambessa hates this matchup. Add in a hard CC jungler in the Maokai to tee Broken Blade up to hit his ult, and Warwick was eating good this game. Already seen BB pull off an excellent game on the Wolfman against GX in playoffs, so it wasn't entirely a surprise, but the counter to the Ambessa worked a charm. With a Lulu and a Maokai behind him, the Warwick was a nightmare for Fnatic. Still, Fnatic had the Skarner, got the early set of grubs and the first dragon, and picked up some solid early kills. The game was more than playable, however a fumbled TP play by Humanoid at just gone the 10-minute mark failed to accelerate the game, the kill donation over to Upset not quite working out, and G2 had their own moment to strike a couple of minutes later around the spawn of the next dragon. A monster fear from BB plus a great ult from Skewmon stuffed the Fnatic engage, leaving a Sivir and a Zir to free hit in a choke point while Warwick ran down the fleeing survivors.
Happened in with Broken Blade, he gets the double, Infinite Duress flies over, and he's got a scuttle. He's just autoing down, and Razork is going to lose this. The Jaws, even with the war.
After that, it just felt like Fnatic couldn't find a solid way to accelerate the game, all the while staring down double hyperscaling carries in an Azir and the Sivir buffed up by a Lulu, and then you also had a losing side lane matchup into that Fed Warwick. Yeesh. Still, Fnatic didn't give up though. They still had a great pick comp and they still had the Skarner. They just needed to find an angle to use it.
Will get out as well. Nature's Grass gets thrown down. D2 the follow-up. Just looks impossible here with Razork against the wall.
Fnatic felt like they had found their moment at just gone the 20-minute mark, catching Broken Blade taking the tier 1 in bot lane as the Atakan spawned. Understandably, they rushed to capitalise on the man advantage, charging at that objective.
Sivir pushes in the mid-wave.
Flash away from the Impale, that's Lebrov getting out of dodge. Now the poke for Lebrov, it's not going to do much against Scorpion as that TP behind enemy lines is Humanoid, but again, without ult. He comes in with a fresh item.
And then Caps TP'd in and murdered Upset with a brutal flank. With the attempted turn to fight from Fnatic thwarted, they got run down and aced. It's the Atakan 2. Ouch.
Broken Blade comes in and bites him down, and Fnatic, again, not having Humanoid in hurts, but G2 quick to the pounce, have just destroyed this game wide open. Infinite Dress over the wall as well. And Mickey,
he's playing with his food.
To kill him eventually.
With that, G2 were decisively in command of the game, ending a few minutes later to claim the series victory 2-0. With it, they moved on to the upper bracket finals against Karmine Corps, while Fnatic now wait in the lower bracket to face the winner of BDS and Vitality. Fnatic to galling loss. Once again unable to overcome G2, but there are few doubts about their abilities to learn and make deep runs into playoffs to hunt for a rematch. Hopefully with a fully well upset who tweeted out he was sadly quite ill coming into the series, for frustrating timing on that. For G2, they are right back on top, solidifying themselves as one of the front runners for an LEC title once more. How could we ever have doubted them? Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll see you next time.